Okay, back with part two
Part
of the
two.
state of wrestling. Okay, but with TNA, with WWE, just like you said, yeah, they have the network. They've got merchandising. They're set. They don't have to worry about anything because they're going to make money because of their name and the guys they have now. And they're putting on a better product.
Yeah, and TNA just isn't out there as much as they need to be to really be a successful company.
Mm-hmm.
And
what would you have done to fix it? Like, we could go over ideas.
Oh,
what
for
would we have
TNA?
done? Yeah.
Well, number one, I probably wouldn't have rehired Jeff Hardy after the first time he got dropped because of his drug problem.
Mm-hmm.
I get giving the guy a second chance, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, that was why he was released from WWE, so TNA kind of was his second chance. But, I probably wouldn't have brought Hulk Hogan in, because even if he's a little draw, he's not enough to make a difference. I don't know. I would have tried. You go back to, like I said at the beginning of the other one where when I was talking about 2005, 2006. They had some cool, interesting stuff that they were doing, and it was different from what WWE was doing because 2005, 2006. You're already starting to move into the PG era. Things are getting kind of bland.
Yeah.
There's less and less that's really all that interesting.
Eddie was
to
gone.
watch. Eddie was gone.
Yeah.
Benoit was
on his way
out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you were starting to kind of fall into this era of things have to be overly safe.
Yep. And given that we live in a politically correct society now, people get so offended easily. It just sickens me to no end. But
yeah, it's so
that's
ridiculous.
A different story for another day.
I think I would have tried to keep my own unique thing that you had. You had the six-sided ring.
Mm-hmm.
You had matches like the Ultimate X match, which was a cool idea. Yeah, there's a potential for some dangerous stuff, but
you can do that when you get
look,
anyway.
Any sport has a risk of injury and a risk of things being dangerous. It's just a simple fact.
Mm-hmm. It's life.
But I would have kept, some of those unique ideas that you had that made TNA what it was.
Here's what I would have done to fix it from my perspective. I would have had young, up and hungry men and women. Young, up and hungry men and women going out there ready to entertain you, to give you your money's worth. And I would have had maybe 5 legends. I would have had one legendary women's wrestler, one legendary tag team, and then a legend overall to put the future over so these guys get established.
Right, and with TNA, you had that legendary tag team in the Dudley Boys when they went over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine.
But here was the problem with the legends.
Fat asses. Oh, yep. Sorry. Scott Steiner.
Hogging the spotlight, and Eric Bischoff years ago saying that Scott Steiner was a workhorse. Yes, he actually said that.
Bischoff, slap yourself for that. Yeah.
Like, the overexposure of these legends, winning titles, doing things, it was like, come on now. The main event Mafia, who liked them? Who?
They could have been good, but that was basically them just putting new paint on the NWO. That's basically what it was. Because look at who was in the main event Mafia. You had Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Sting,
Booker T, Kurt Angle.
Well, I'm gonna leave Kurt Angle out of that because he was never part of the NWO.
Yeah.
But those other guys, Booker T was a part of the NWO, albeit the WWE's version. But the other 3 guys were the original NWO.
Yep.
Scott Hall was there too. Basically, you just went NWO, new paint, main event Mafia.
A thing that TNA also did that irked me, the takeover angles that they would always do. It's like, we don't need...
Like when they did with the Aces and Eights.
Yeah, we don't need takeover angles happening constantly. The 2 greatest angles in no particular order of all time, WCW versus NWO and Austin versus Vince. Nothing is ever going to beat those 2. Fact.
Yeah, and that was the thing. One of those 2 was a takeover thing, at least at first. And it was kind of cool because it was this new thing that you'd never really seen before.
Yeah.
The other one, Austin versus Vince, worked really well because Austin was that anti-authority, I don't give a shit what you say.
Yep.
And Vince was that megalomaniacal, just asshole boss that we all wanted to see get his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm. But with TNA in today's day and age, it's just like rehashing the past and not having enough funds to survive, not having enough funds to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And with them not even drawing in 300,000 viewers every week and them having to tape their shows months in advance, God knowing if they're even going to air. Wow.
Yeah. And plus, TNA doesn't have The New Day.
Yeah. But
But
man,
you know, I look at it, and you look at, you know, the indie wrestling promotions, they're going to be around,
Yeah.
and you know, they work as well as they do because they keep it small. They just go with what they know works for them, and that's it. The only other big company in the world that if they were going to go up against the WWE would have a shot would be New Japan.
yeah,
Because New Japan is as big and good as they ever were. You know, and if you don't believe it, just go back just a couple of months back, watch Wrestle Kingdom 10,
Holy
phenomenal
crap.
show.
that's probably my show of the year so far. Honestly, out of everything that's been going on, Wrestle Kingdom 10 match of the year for me, AJ Nakamura, without a doubt.
That was an excellent match. And I'll tell you what, as far as New Japan, they are finally on American television. I forget the channel, but I watch
Access
them.
TV.
I watch them all the time, although I have a few episodes I need to get caught up on. But
Even though it's on a year delay, we don't care.
it doesn't really matter. You get to see outstanding matches by guys, and you get to see what some of these guys can really do, which is one of the things for WWE. I get that you're kind of PG, but still, let these guys do what they can do in the ring. You will have much better matches. You will pick up that many more viewers, and you'll be making that much more money. And then these little things that you see where you don't have enough subscribers on the WWE network, just $9.99, by the way.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you heard this. They might add a premium thing where you have to pay $15 and you get Raw and SmackDown the next day. Honestly, who gives a shit?
I don't really care that much.
Yeah, I don't watch Raw.
I watch more of the older stuff in NXT on the network anyway.
So do I. So yeah, I'd keep my $9.99. And that's how I look at it.
Did we mention it's only $9.99?
At least twice now.
No, we're not sponsored by WWE Network. It's just
Yeah, it's a habit.
I like to make fun of Michael Cole.
Yeah. But, okay, and then with New Japan, you also have commentators. You got JR and Josh Barnett calling the moves and the holds. You know,
And occasionally,
they're actually like
what's the guy's name is in WWE? He's
Mauro Ranallo.
No, he's an Asian guy. He was in WWE. Technically, I think still sort of part of him.
Was he a backstage guy?
No. He was a wrestler. Not that long ago. I don't know if to come up with that, but he's over in Japan and clearly still doesn't speak much English. He got hurt, and then I think he went back to Japan.
Oh, okay. Huh. I know
He wasn't around very long, but he had that real like Japanese pop kind of song for his entrance, you know.
Oh, Yoshitatsu.
Yoshitatsu, that's
Yeah,
the
he's
one.
there too.
Sorry, we got off topic, but he's there too doing sort of commentary.
Yeah.
Like I
But-
said, doesn't speak much English, but it's interesting to hear what he has to say, though.
Yeah. With TNA, it's unfortunate to see what's happening to them.
Yeah, they just don't. There's not much left for TNA to do. I mean,
I don't want to see them go under, but at this rate, they deserve everything they get because
You know, with a lot of
Dixie's
their-
not getting out of the way.
yeah, and a lot of their biggest talent, guys like Bobby Roode, Eric Young, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, coming over to the WWE. They're just running out of guys they can put in that main event.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a few WWE guys that went the other way, guys like Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam. But really, by the point that Rob Van Dam went over there, he's still cool and he can still go in the ring, but
He doesn't have that appeal.
not the same guy. He's
Yep.
not what he was in the 90s, back in ECW.
And I think
And that's another thing that TNA did that could have been really cool. They did their Hardcore Revolution thing, their Hardcore
ECW
Justice.
2.0, yeah.
That was cool. It was kind of a cool nod to ECW, but you're not going to bring in those hardcore ECW fans just with that. They might watch that one show, and then you're not going to have them at all for the rest of it.
Nope. Because their storylines have also been inconsistent. Like, WWE is guilty of this too with the start and stop thing. It's like they'll start a push, and then a guy, to their degree, doesn't get over, and then they put him down. They do that with everybody.
Or they start a push, and then for a number of different reasons, they decide that this isn't the guy they want to go with, or this guy did something, so we're not going to push him now, and they just stop it. You know, like one of those storylines, it was the thing with it was Rusev, Lana, Summer Rae, and Dolph Ziggler, but then the pictures came out with Rusev
and Lana
being engaged, and that storyline ended like that.
Yeah, but who really cared about that?
And now he's with the League of Super Villains, or whatever the fuck they are.
And they're going to break up anyway, so it's like, yeah, that was pointless.
They could have been, that could have been a cool angle, but they just made him too goofy. But that's something for another time.
Yeah. Okay, but with TNA, yeah, no funds, not enough exposure. Management needs to change. Basically, here's what needs to save TNA. You need to get rid of the name. It's got to go. They need a new everything, new set, new roster, new titles, new channel, everything. Because the name TNA, gone, done.
It's kind of meaningless at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I think lastly, we're going to end this with talking about China. We unfortunately knew that it
Now
was
the
going to
second
end
member
this way.
of the DX. No, the second member of DX to pass away, sadly.
Ironically, 17 years later.
Yeah, people forget that Rick Rude was a member of DX.
Yeah. I knew that it was going to end this way for her.
I kind of did too.
Yep.
And I watched Wrestling with Regret, Brian Zane's video about China, and I agree with him that China will get in the Hall of Fame because of what she did for the business. And when she was there, you know, she's the first ever woman to compete in the King of the Ring, and not just the King of the Ring, but also the Royal Rumble. She was the first woman and really only woman to ever hold the Intercontinental title, which is huge. And she proved that, you know, some women can go with the boys and be just as good as the boys.
Mm-hmm. She said,
and so for that, she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
And for a lot of people going, oh well, she was going to do more porn or whatever before she died.
So did Sunny.
Yeah. Here's the moral of the story.
And Sable and Tori Wilson.
If Sunny's going in, China's going in. If Sunny went in, China can go in. That's just how it is.
Yeah, you know, and it's weird that all of a sudden WWE has this thing about, oh well, she did porn, so we're not going to mention her much.
Mm-hmm. But
that's weird because it wasn't but a few years back
they were doing Playboy.
But they were celebrating every time one of their women ended up in Playboy. Yep. What the fuck?
I know it was a different time, and I know we're all PC now, and I know it's got to be PG. I know you're targeting for the kids, but this is the thing: you had a past that was very adulterated, or however you say the word.
Very much. Well, it was a lot more adult than people really care to think about.
Yeah. And in the 90s, it was a different time. You could get away with that kind of stuff. In today's day and age, I know you can't, but you can't run from your past, Vince. You're going to have to embrace it in some sort of fashion. So I think that with China, it's just sad. I think that Sunny needs to be careful because she's walking that fine line of living a crazy life, and I don't want to see it in the same way for her. I really think she should get the help she needs.
Yeah.
Same thing with all these other wrestlers that may be going through it.
Oh, and just real quick before we end this, I just want to throw a little nod to that let me try that again. Hardcore chair swinging maniac who passed away recently, Balls Mahoney. That's really sad for anybody who was a fan of EC Dub like I am. Mm-hmm. Balls Mahoney was one of those guys who was always around. You know, he and Axel Rotten were one of the great tag teams in ECW's history.
Yeah.
And it was sad to see him go, too. I just wanted to throw that out there because he died recently as well.
Yeah, the deaths in wrestling is getting crazier and crazier, and then this has nothing to do with wrestling.
I mean, everybody dies eventually, but some of them are just, it's
way too
hard
sad
to see him go.
And then I think, even though this is not wrestling related, we're going to end with Prince. That hurt.
Purple Rain.
Yeah, even though
I was never a huge Prince fan, but it did hurt. It kind of surprised me. There's those songs that everybody's heard, everybody knows, like Purple Rain, Little Red Corvette, Kiss, Raspberry Beret. Throw that in there, why not?
Yeah, Prince. He was an icon of his time. It's sad that the '80s is almost gone now, but. At least he's not in pain anymore, and he's in.
You think about it. Over the last few years, we've lost two of the biggest names from the '80s in Prince and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Whitney's gone too. Whitney Houston, she passed away a few years back.
And let's not forget, she's every woman.
Yeah, it's sad, but you only got one life to live, so make the most of it. If that's
Ain't that the truth?
Life teaches you. But anyway, guys, we got to get out of here. So I'm Jose, Album Man 1. Thank you all for watching. We will catch you later.
Peace.